I mean, if the story is that there's any group of people that are, that's me, disrupting like some kind of prayer circle that mourns the death of children, whatever people did that deserve to be made fun of, no?
If they get their feet for being racist and hateful, they deserve it. It was a stupid argument for me, and I don't stand by it.
I love you, Willie Mac. Thank you so much, brother. I'm glad that I'm the greatest person in the world.
Making Ukrainians sit down and watch my clips out of context in a way that you have framed it to
Yeah, well, it is basically torture to have to watch any of your content.
Has he ever had like Western food?
It's so fucking dumb. I love it.
They do have KFC?
Wow, they must really be oppressed because Popeyes is elite, baby. That's a fact.
The crews on these ships, and they like win them over with their charm, and they make them hate America and the US.
Yeah, that's exactly what a terrorist that steals people would always say. Couldn't be Stockholm Syndrome. There was never a child's movie about Stockholm Syndrome. We don't know what that is.
Hasan has since responded to these criticisms by doing the exact same thing, rewriting history, relying on the same clips that I've already debunked, and of course repeatedly calling me and everyone else who criticizes him a racist.
How did he know? Alright guys, let's do some real content. Okay, now, I'm gonna be real with you. I'm a little bit bored of Hasan. Okay? Hasan Piker stinks. But I love Willie Mac, and I'm in this video. And I love myself. Which is a beautiful thing. Don't criticize me for loving myself. You need to love yourself. You need to be your own biggest fan. You need to like every one of your own videos. Because if you don't like yourself, why would you expect other people to like you? So I'm going to watch it anyway. And I'm going to enjoy it anyway. There's really no downside to it. Except for Hasan. Boo! But let's get it going, man.
Hello, fellow libtards. Last week I criticized Hasan
That's me.
for promoting propaganda, rewriting history, and his poor coverage of Ukraine. Hasan has since responded to these criticisms by doing the exact same thing, rewriting history, relying on the same clips that I've already debunked, and of course repeatedly calling me and everyone else who criticizes him a racist.
The only difference here is
How did he know? Sorry, that was inappropriate.
that you think brown man bad, brown man terrorist. These are not people who give a fuck about Angie content. Like, didn't this guy literally used to have like a straight up Nazi program?
And when he came
What? Thank you for the 11-month small god from Hogsicle, the Papa Goat. Thank you. Who had what?
I call Muda Islamophobic because he's Muslim, he pulls Muda's race card on his behalf.
Has actively played a role in the we should get Hasan deplatformed train. Extra weird considering that he, you know, went to the Hajj, did the Hajj, went to the Mecca. The fan base that he's trying to cultivate desperately dehumanizes him, or at least the people that he aligns with legitimately hate Muslims.
Most importantly, we get to finally debunk the idea that I take Hasan out of context,
There are a million different instances, including in the clips that he clipped out of context.
while proving he takes everyone else out of context.
Just the other day, BB fired a really good guy that a lot of people are pissed about, and he fired
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of all. That's the thing. It's all he really has left. And it's so interesting because right now, like populist concepts are really dialing up. Like kind of just lying to your audience is working really well for Trump, but for some reason it's starting to work less well for Mr. Piker, and I'm truly shocked. I thought his content strategy would actually get more popular as time went on. If I'm being honest with you, I'm surprised.
him because they had a disagreement, and that's like so Trump coded.
He was like a moderating voice in the war room.
Yeah.
The person that they're talking about is Yoav Gallant. The person that they're calling a moderating voice said this, which is the reason why there is an active petition, an active application for a warrant for his arrest by the ICC.
We're talking.
Well, no, he was actually like comparatively over there. That guy was like a progressive voice that was actually urging against, you know, the continuation of the conflict between Israel and Palestine, and they got rid of him because of that. And Hasan, I don't even know if he knows it or not. He just likes to lie.
About the fact that he's the only person that wants to end the war, and I personally don't understand how that's not relevant. But now people like Hasan are going on their channels and accusing us of supporting a war criminal.
That is not a good guy. I'm sorry. It's not. And it's like shocking to see
Well, they shouldn't have said he was a good guy, but ultimately what they were saying made sense.
Ethan say this stuff.
How do you not know what he's talking about? Isn't this what you do? Ethan corrects Hasan, and Hasan doesn't get back to him, just letting people believe this false story.
Ethan Klein made a video of you talking about this. Yeah.
This video catches
Yeah.
Hasan in his lies and holds him accountable for his low
Yeah.
quality reporting. It's like we could do better than this. We could strive for higher quality, like Holskirt, who makes specialized watches and jewelry made from natural materials, giving them a really unique design. Like
What's an unnatural material? Isn't everything found in the world? You know what I mean? Isn't everything like natural? I don't know.
This watch made entirely out of wood. How did they do that? It's so cool. Holzgren is a watch and jewelry brand for both men and women based out of Austria. And their products range from casual everyday watches to sophisticated designs that I have never seen before. And Holzgren has over 1,000 different designs. So whether you're looking for an everyday watch or a nice piece for your suit, Holzgren is going to have something for you. Whenever we got friends getting married, you could bet I'm busting out the Holzgren drip, the ring, the necklace. And we gotta have something for the lady. And they're all made in small quantities, ensuring a high standard of quality. From watches and rings to sunglasses and necklaces, Holzgren is going to give you something that stands out. And they offer a 2-year warranty on everything. That's how confident they are in their product. So whether you're buying something for your dad, mom, girlfriend, or yourself, Holzgren's going to have something that feels special. So go to holzgren.com/WillyMac Show and use code
You guys know the deal. We watch all the ads.
WillyMac to get 15% off site-wide for your holiday gifts. Thank you, Holzgren, for sponsoring today's video.
Give me the ballsy balls. Give me the ballsy balls.
Before Hasan reacts to my video, he prefaces it with everyone who makes good videos agrees with me, and everyone who makes bad videos criticizes me.
That's how I feel about me as well.
It's weird. All the good YouTubers who put a lot of thought and effort into their almost academic paper level researched YouTube essays.
Yeah, when he says that, he means that they go on Twitter and get all the research there.
Almost always happen to be, you know, in the Hasan Abi side of the things, and all of the worst drama pervert, Keemstar adjacent, orbiter, weirdo fucking loser.
The Keemstar slur, baby.
Who love hyping up pedophiles and Nazis.
What the fuck? What?
Those are the guys who always hate me for some reason, you know?
Yeah,
Instead of
true.
watching me directly, Hasan watches
That's because Hasan molests all the kids that we're trying to molest. You know what I mean? Leave some for us, Hasan. Leave some for us, dude. Okay. Bad joke.
bad empanada react to me. He needs backup.
Oh, dude, bad empanada went from bad to good empanada. Bad empanada went from bad empanada to based empanada.
Like, this is your champion? Okay, I'll respond to both of you. The first thing Hasan criticizes is me going after his poor coverage of the Al-Ahli hospital bombing.
IDF didn't bomb the hospital? Yes, it did!
Does this guy provide any evidence that he didn't bomb the hospital? No, he doesn't. He just insisted
Yeah.
he didn't.
What makes it significant was just how poorly Hasan handled a breaking story at the time, speaking as if he had any insight and demonizing everyone who believed in any other expert's opinion.
IDF didn't bomb the hospital? Change title? IDF didn't bomb the hospital?
Well, yeah, they didn't bomb the hospital. So I don't even know why we're still talking about it.
Yes, it did! Yes, it did!
Also, because Hasan won't take the L and just be like, yeah, they didn't. Because he just takes anything that like aligns with his side, obviously.
Yes, it fucking did! You fucking piece of...
Last time I went to the hospital, I bombed it too, dude. I took a huge fucking shit, man. I'm not even kidding. It was absolutely insane. Woke up from my anesthesia. Made me have to go poopy doops.
Yes, it absolutely did. Fuck you.
Fuck you.
You genocidal scumbag.
It is still unconfirmed who bombed the hospital. Hasan claims he was just repeating what most news outlets were saying at the time.
BBC and every other fucking Western outlet had also obviously arrived at that same conclusion early on in the morning. Why else? Why would they not arrive at that conclusion? It makes no fucking sense to be like, oh, this must have been a rocket misfire.
He repeated the same thing in our conversation last year.
Yeah, well, it was a rocket misfire. That's why that's why they couldn't recover anything in there. Because after they misfired their own rocket, they had to get rid of the evidence. They couldn't even get it. So that's a real thing, just so you guys know.
You're claiming he was talking to forensic analysts.
I was talking to open source intelligence people and also forensic analysts.
Ooh, forensic
That's what I was
analysts.
doing, and I still do.
But if you go back to his stream, he wasn't talking to anybody. He just read tweets.
Now, here's Evan Hill, working as a forensic investigator at the Washington Post.
This guy did not say it was an Israeli bomb. He repeated the same thing that everyone else did. Hasan just ignores it.
IDF blames Islamic Jihad for a failed rocket launch which hit the hospital in Gaza. You think that there is not proof for this?
He blamed the BBC and Geo confirmed
Yeah, I do think there's not proof for that, obviously.
for his poor reporting.
One of the things that I'm sure you didn't mention was the Geo confirmed Twitter thread.
But if you go to the last 40 minutes of his stream, Geo confirmed corrects the story, and Hasan still writes them off.
Oh, here, by the way, someone making fun of the final conclusion of Geo confirmed. So a missile exploded in midair, and then a piece of that already exploded missile hit a hospital and killed hundreds of people. This is the absolute dumbass that you guys are putting forward as your conclusive analyzer. Okay, God damn it, brother, Jesus Christ, that's how stupid. How fucking stupid. I was
It's funny that he really just needs to die on every hill Hasan needs to die on every single time. There's everything. Israel can never have any level of correctness in what they're doing. And there's a lot of bad things that they're doing. But they have the ability, they deserve the right to defend themselves. They don't deserve the right to kill Palestinian people with reckless abandon. But Hasan wants to label all Israelis and Jews as fucking like genocidal maniacs. So
literally repeating what the BBC coverage was.
If you use the Wayback Machine and go to October 17th on the BBC's website, the BBC clearly reported that that's what Hamas claimed. On the day of the bombing, Hasan was mad that the BBC made this distinction, calling them racist.
Love that they keep saying Hamas-run health ministry, like it's not the fucking health ministry. It's ridiculous. Like, oh,
wasn't it run by Hamas? No.
Hamas-run health ministry. Well, you know how they are. You know how those dirty Arabs are. They lie all the time. You know what I mean? They're
Do I agree with Hasan? No. Of course not. I love Hamas. I'm just kidding. I mean, realistically, Hamas is like the elected, leadership over there. Palestinians elected Hamas. I don't know if it's because they feel like they're under duress to elect them, or if it's because they have less value for their life and more interest in. You know what I mean? I don't know. Hamas, well, Hasan too. They're a very radical group that uses Palestinian people as a shield, to hide their military infrastructure. But maybe Palestinian people, think it's worth it. I don't know. Like, Ukrainians are dying in rather large numbers to defend themselves against, Russia. So maybe there's just like a similarity there. I have no idea. Thank you for the $10 from Sophia S. Happy Christmas, Papa and Mama. Thanks for the content, for the content this year. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Probably lying.
Hopefully we record another podcast tonight.
Again.
Hasan, while reacting to my video, still lies about it to this day.
The funniest parts about our conversation when this dildo came on the stream was when he didn't even know that, like, my reasoning originally for why Israel bombed Al-Ahli was because, one, Israel had bombed the Al-Ahli hospital 2 days prior. Two, Israel had bombed a whole bunch of places, including other hospitals that they've forcibly evacuated at that point. And three, BBC and every other Western outlet,
I love BBC,
had also obviously arrived at that same conclusion early on in the morning. Why else? Why would they not arrive at that conclusion? It makes no sense to be like, oh, this must have been a rocket misfire.
But they didn't. You were mad at them for not arriving at that conclusion. That's why you called the media stupid and racist.
Is there a fucking moment where Western media will be honest about this? Like, I know we are cruel here in the West. I know we've done so much. We've done so many awful things.
I mean, if you think we're cruel here, wait till you see every other non-Western country's perspective on gay and trans people, women, children. Like, I'm not saying we're perfect, but it's so easy to say we're so horrible when we have the most rights for any living person ever. It's just so stupid.
Like, so many unconscionable things. But I really, really thought that there would be at least a little bit of clarity from the media.
Hasan has rewritten history to every news outlet agreed with him at the time. Not true. And that he had all these credible sources. Not true. He was just browsing Twitter.
Never cites his sources. Hasan only goes on Twitter. These are some of the most common, like, things that you hear from people.
It's literally what happened. Go watch the stream. He does the same.
Well, he champions Twitter as on-the-ground news. Like, that he uses Twitter as his on-the-ground research. So
thing when I criticize him for promoting Russian propaganda.
As far as Ukrainian invasion, I've never been for invading Ukraine. All the NATO defenders have just so successfully been like, nah, Hasan loves Russia. He has always been on board.
What does it mean to be a NATO defender? Shouldn't you defend NATO? Isn't that what's pushing Western countries to preserve their Western values of typically healthcare and human rights? I don't understand.
With Russia invading Ukraine is just not true.
I'm going to put this.
Well, he justified Russia invading Ukraine. Talked about this like a million times, and he knows about this, and he still never walked it back. And it's that specifically, I'm going to keep saying it. Russia genocided Ukrainian people through starvation and implanted Russians so that they can now say, hey guys, there's so many Russians living here. This is actually our land. Like, this is a real thing that's happened. Hasan was made aware of this and never walked it back. So when he says, like, well, they should be able to invade such and such area, it is their place. There are Russians there. He's justifying genocide. That's what's happening there.
To bed once and for all, Hasan has never outright said that he supports the Russian invasion, but he has routinely repeated Russian talking points about how Ukraine is full of Nazis. The whole country is on the
We call that dog whistling, guys.
verge of becoming Nazis.
The reason why a small amount of nationalist forces gaining prominence is additionally terrifying. It's like Tinder, okay? It can cause a wildfire of nationalism because it's already baked in to the attitudes of the commoner, okay? Every person already has like a predisposition towards nationalist tendencies. So the issue is when you start legitimizing the nationalist guys, boom, all of a sudden the country could turn fascist like that, okay?
He watches.
It's so funny because you could literally say the exact same thing about Palestinian people and Hamas. But the reality is these are two groups, Ukrainians and Palestinians, who are forced into oppression by another state, Russia or Israel, in some capacity, that are just trying to fight to preserve themselves and their country's freedom. And they, of course, the more oppressed you are, the more radical you become. But when it comes to that happening to Ukraine from Russia, Ukraine is bad, and it is bad for it because Ukraine is Western. When it happens to Palestinian people, they're good because they're not Western. That is literally it. That is the cognitive dissonance of Hasan Piker. That is the problem with Hasan.
This clip and lies about its context.
Okay, wait. This he said. Wait, dude, I can't. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm right. This is me criticizing Vladimir Putin.
No, it's not. He does not mention Putin once. He says this like I can't go watch his video and prove I'm wrong. It's from him reacting to the Gravels Institute's video saying Ukraine is full of Nazis.
So fucking weird to be like, oh, dude, like this is unimportant. Oh, dude, it's like only a couple Nazis. Oh, dude, they get so triggered when you talk about the Nazis in Ukraine. And oh, dude, there's only a couple Nazis. Like, who gives a Oh, dude, there's Nazis on the Russian side.
If I remember correctly, didn't the United States say you have to like disavow these people or we're not going to give you support? Like, maybe I'm wrong about that, but I kind of remember that happening. So,
okay, we're not fucking training them, and we're not giving them guns.
It wasn't a criticism of Putin. It was a criticism of the United States and Ukraine for letting Azov fight.
The problem is that Western forces have been beefing up otherwise a fucking very, very loud minority, like a very, very loud minority of people who would normally be inconsequential, ruining the opportunity for Ukrainian leftists to even push back against the Ukrainian Nazis, which they normally would, because now everyone's fucking hyper-focused on what Russia is doing.
Yeah, because what Russia is doing is trying to take over their country. Usually when that happens, people put aside their some of their beliefs and go, I think we need to worry about the foreign threat of invasion before worrying about any other homegrown problem.
And how to deal with that.
Not once did Hasan blame Putin.
Every person already has like a predisposition towards nationalist tendencies. So the issue is when you start legitimizing the nationalist guys, boom, all of a sudden everyone the country could turn fascist like that, okay?
Yeah.
So no, he never blames or mentions Putin. It's the beginning of a pattern where he just
Does he mention pooping though?
says my video is out of context and then fabricates a reality that doesn't exist.
This is precisely what I was talking about. This is
true.
me saying,
Me too, dude. Me too.
Vladimir Putin's unjustifiable invasion of Ukraine will actually develop and grow the nationalist movement. That is the whole point. They're too stupid to understand.
He then pulls up a tweet he made on the day of the invasion saying that as if that absolves him of...
Imagine that like Hasan was really actually saying that, but like he's so stupid he doesn't know how to communicate with people, and that's really his fucking fault for being a dumb moron. Hey, is it possible? No.
Everything else, which is part of Hasan's strategy, well, he will say every political position once. And
it's funny because I think Hasan is somebody who has the ability and capacity to be smart, but he doesn't try to be smart. And that's the problem. Hasan's not a stupid person. He's an intelligent person, but like based on the audience that he's in that holds him 0% accountable, and the fact that he's very egotistical, and anytime he's wrong, he will never look into his actions, beliefs, or feelings. He doesn't hold himself to the task of actually trying to be intelligent when he expresses himself in any capacity. He's not even trying to more intelligently push his like disinformation messages. Like he could sit down and start being a little more intelligent about like pushing the messages of this information. He could literally Ben Shapiro his way through it. Ben Shapiro, smart guy, knows how to over intellectualize wrong points. Hasan doesn't. He just doesn't put the effort or energy into it. He's not smart enough to do it. He is smart enough to do it. He's lazy. He is extremely lazy.
And then retreat to it when he gets criticized for spouting Russian propaganda. Hasan was saying all the way up through the war starting that it won't happen, but if it does, it's
He's hot, that's why. True.
West fault.
Focusing on this topic right now, when Russia will imminently invade Ukraine, resulting in many civilian deaths, will lead a number of chatters to wonder if the war is at least partially justified. Okay, dude. This doesn't change the reality that like the fucking tensions have been rising as a consequence of the United States gearing up exactly in the same way that they did in Afghanistan, though. That's the point. Imminent invasion, the imminent invasion. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? To a certain degree, does Vladimir Putin want Ukraine? Maybe. Regardless of whether he wants it or not, he needs
Maybe. They're constantly trying to push into other countries.
it as a buffer state. Exactly. Exactly.
When the war started, Hasan repeated that NATO was the aggressor, validating Russian propaganda.
What the fuck are you saying 2 days ago? You said NATO imperialism akin to Mexico joining Russia. That is the same still. NATO is still an aggressive, expansionist, imperialist force.
Good. Who cares? I don't understand. What is even wrong with that? First of all, they're not. But like, even if NATO was, who cares? What is NATO trying to push around the world? Western values. What are Western values? Workers' rights, healthcare, freedom for men, women through giving them equal rights, children through raising age of consent and banning child marriages, gay and trans people so that we can jerk off to them on the hub. What's so bad about expanding that? I don't understand. I truly don't get it. You know, all the flaws aside of Western civilization, you know, everybody is trying to dip their wick into other people's cultures and take over other people in some capacity. If it wasn't us, it would be Russia or China. Places that they don't have workers' rights. People literally throw themselves on the top of factories that install nets because they're forced into such heavy oppression by their own governments. There's no freedom to vote. They have different groups of like Muslim people in China in camps that the media is not allowed to go into. So it's either they push their perspective around the world or we push ours. Are we perfect? Absolutely not. But at least the countries we destabilize, we take in asylum seekers. We tried. We are better. We are better. Are better as a culture. Are we the best? Absolutely not. But you know what you can do? You can criticize us openly, and you won't get arrested. Western culture is the best culture that exists. Not because it's a certain number or a certain group of people. It's because it is the freest for everybody. Comparatively, it could be better, but you're allowed to say that without getting arrested. That's what makes it so great. You can criticize it freely.
America saying that they're going to let Ukraine join, we have an open door policy, is bullshit, because they were never actually going to allow Ukraine to join NATO, because if Russia invaded Ukraine as easily as it did just now, then it would be World War III. Russia invading Ukraine like this is to show the rest of the world why Ukraine can't join NATO.
He was saying that giving Ukraine munitions was pointless because they already have guns and that we should give Russia a favorable deal.
We have boots on the ground, and this guy's like, oh, we're going to give him guns. We'll give him more guns. Dude, they have guns, bro. They have guns. There is literally nothing you can do in this situation. Either you go to all-out war, which is impossible because Russia is a nuclear power, and that would mean nuclear holocaust, or you have to suck it the up and get to the table with them and come to an agreement. This conflict does not get resolved without talking to Russia, without having Ukraine and Russia at the table.
It's like saying that Palestine should just completely roll over for Israel. This is so funny. It's just like, it's always cognitive dissonance when it comes to this topic. It's always.
And having a conversation and trying to put together an agreement that is going to be incredibly favorable to Russia.
He spewed out propaganda so regularly that he had to put text on the top of this.
I agree, but with Israel and Palestine instead. Like, just imagine that, right? Like, there's no thought there.
Screen that said Putin is bad, just to remind people he wasn't pro-Russia. Now suddenly you can't criticize Hasan. He wrote it on the screen. He references this text as his defense to this day.
There are some other points. No, Hasan supports Russia. No, he doesn't. He also raised $200K for Ukraine.
Whoa, nice.
Hitler, which by the way, Vladimir Putin is bad. Look at the sign. Actually, sorry, I forgot we elevated that to Vladimir Putin is very bad.
The full context of this clip is...
It's weird because I don't actually have to tell people in my chat that Putin's bad. They just know that I think he's bad by the way that I talk. It's really interesting.
Hasan addressing people for saying he's adopted the Hitler appeasement strategy.
If you've ever talked about any kind of like, oh, this is appeasement, Vladimir Putin's like Hitler, which by the way, Vladimir Putin is bad. Look at the sign. Actually, sorry, I forgot we elevated that to Vladimir Putin is very bad. From bad to very bad. Look at the sign. Then you have to go to war.
Fast forward to today, and Hasan acts like he never owned these positions. Guys, I was just stating for a fact that Russia now does own Crimea.
I call Crimea, I call it a part of Russian territory. That's what I call Crimea. I call it Crimea River. Crimea is a part of Russian territory. It's just true.
Hey guys, Crimea River to the sea. Ukraine will be free, okay?
It is annexed by Russia.
He's lying about the context of this clip too. It's him justifying the Russian annexation.
Like, I got fucking liberals schizo posting on the timeline about an inevitable invasion, okay? Like, just actual fucking land war in Ukraine.
This is horrible.
All of this stuff. And I was 100% right. And now, liberals who literally said, no, Russia is going to do this. Russia is going to do this. Russia is the bloodthirsty psychos at the door. What happened, dude?
He was so widely known for having these positions at the time that Dylan Burns, an actual on-the-ground journalist that was in Ukraine, would show everyday Ukrainians these videos and they'd respond to it.
Russia annexing its own territory that it's had, that its own territory full of its own people, is not the same as NATO being like, we're going to turn your country into a base and put literal military bases and rockets into your country.
Most offensive thing, annex its own territory. Excuse me, what is Ukraine even? So this is the imperialist talk for supposedly anti-imperialist leftists who is like all about fighting colonialism and imperialism when only the West does it.
He's obviously not anti-imperialist, right? Because he
claims he is.
Well, he claims a lot of things, but he claims he cares about Ukrainian lives too, which I don't think is true.
Like that you say that they should cede territory to a fascist invasion.
It's not even...
I remember watching that. What happened to Dylan Burns? Didn't he get demonetized or something stupid like that? Like, they fucked him over really bad?
Secession of territory. It's like prior agreements that neither party has held on to. The real Ukrainian...
I'm sorry, we had prior agreements before Minsk. That's a false equivalence. Referring to agreements where it
Guys, if Russia said it, it's got to be true, am I right?
obviously benefited Russia more
as
the agreements that we should stick to, rather than the agreements that we had decades before that was fair on all accounts.
Hasan's response to this video was to lie, claim that it's out of context, say that it never happened.
Those of you said, chat, has he responded to Dylan Burns' post, by the way, before getting clapped? If you think that I would entertain such a psychotic thing ever in my life, I don't know what to tell you.
He doesn't seem to ever entertain any criticism he gets.
Having actual Ukrainians engage with your arguments psychopathic. It's objectively good for the online conversation. He says that it's bad because they disagree with him.
There is nothing more perverted and psychopathic than literally putting Ukrainian people in Ukraine that are being bombed, okay, by an invading force that is unjustifiably occupying their country, making Ukrainians sit down and watch my clip's out of fucking context in a way that you have framed it to
Yeah, well, it is basically torture to have to watch any of your content. That's why I'm suing for reparations, Willard Mack, okay?
have them go, oh, wow, how fucked up this guy.
Sound familiar? I repeat, the only person taking Hasan out of context is Hasan when he's defending himself. He does the same thing with his inbred comment.
I should go to the old city so I can get my fucking shit pushed in by some of the most inbred fundamentalist hicks.
No, it's not illegal. It's not.
It's just talking about Jews. Would it be wrong? Would this guy think that it was... he probably...
Wait, no, I'm talking about the ultra-Orthodox settlers. What the who would disagree with that? What do you mean? Like, he says, talking about Jews. Nice, dude.
So just to be absolutely clear, inbred is usually people will say that as a way to demean a group of people. There are certain groups of people in this world that have a much higher level of inbred nature, that marry their cousins at a higher rate, okay? If people started calling those people inbred, Hasan would call that racist. Now, there's a whole conversation about like different cultures and the availability of like local people around you, right? Like if you live in a smaller area, like, and that's why there's so much incest in the United States and like the West, in like the South, because there's not a whole lot of people in these smaller towns who are like, oh, I fuck my cousin or I fuck my friend's cousin, but I've known her longer, right? So that's a whole conversation. It's not about a distinct group of people. But Hasan is calling a group of Jewish people inbred because he wants to demean them and demoralize them as a group of people, even though, again, if you look it up, there is a certain group of people who have a much higher level of inbred nature, but it's not because of them, or have more level of like inbreeding, but it's not because of them as people. It is typically because of like a various other factors, like the availability of different mates and stuff. So just letting you know, like, this is another dog whistle. He's aware of this, but it's about trying to demean a group of people that happens to be Jewish. Who would have thought?
If you go back to his stream on June 6th, Hasan is talking to an Israeli chatter about visiting Israel.
Yeah, where is that chatter? He was like, come to Israel. It's so beautiful here. You will see the conflict from my eyes. Yeah. I should go to the old city so I can get my fucking shit pushed in by some of the most inbred fundamentalist hicks.
When he says the old city, I assume he means Jerusalem. Many Jews live there legally. I don't know. He never clarifies. Hasan does not clarify once that he meant only settlers. Then he calls Israel Nazi Germany and says if he goes there, he'll be executed.
Brother.
Makes sense. Israel is Nazi Germany. That's incredible.
I am not going to Nazi Germany, okay? I hope you understand this. And I mean this with all sincerity and with all disrespect. Brother, I'm not going to Israel so you can fucking execute me, okay?
We're having a conversation about Israel in general. Am I supposed to read your mind that you meant settlers? Because you didn't say it. He's making up context that didn't exist in the conversation. I went on to point out Hasan's hypocrisy when defending China's invasion of Tibet for their inferior culture.
China's
with the express effort, with the
Tibet, Taiwan.
Tibet was literally a feudal slave mandate, like so autonomous zone.
China did them a favor.
That was one.
It's so funny when he fucking calls him on this shit.
I mean, in America, when I say something like this, people get very upset. You know, we talk about the Dalai Lama saying "suck my tongue" or whatever, but like that's not far from the norm in normal Tibetan existence before the Communist Party came in.
The same thing has been said about Palestine. It says China's imperialism is good because they focus on taking over the...
Oh, he paused it. I'm like, what?
Formerly enslaved Tibetan people working alongside the Maoist militias to liberate their own fucking non-autonomous region that has historically been on and off a part of the Chinese empire is not saying that the Tibetan culture is inferior. What the fuck are you talking about?
You're saying since they use feudalism, that justifies China taking over the land, killing 82,000 people, 1.2 million since their occupation, 1 out of every...
It says 87,000. Wow.
6 Tibetans. China then settled the land en masse, separating 1 million children from their parents, put them into Chinese state-run boarding schools in an attempt to quelch the culture. It's similar to Asmin justifying Israel's attacks on Gaza, saying that they're religious fundamentalists that execute gay people.
Not supporting a group of people that would, kill a gay person or a trans person for existing. I'm not going to support that group of people in any context. These people would be the ones doing the genociding if they had the power.
Like saying they're inferior, saying they're evil to justify the death and destruction that befalls them is so...
I mean, not for nothing, but Asmongold's remark about Palestinian people wasn't as bad as Hasan's remark about Tibetan people. Asmongold was basically like, I just don't care what happens to them. Whereas Hasan's like, yeah, they deserve it.
Horrifying.
Hasan never engaged...
I mean, you could argue that Asmongold was dog whistling, though, if you want.
With the argument, he just downplays it like, oh yeah, China, yeah, they're not great.
The current Chinese rulership over Tibet is not exactly great. Slavery and feudalism is not a fundamental part of Tibetan culture.
I did not argue that slavery was culture. I said that doesn't justify China's takeover, settlement, and brutality of the people. Hasan doesn't engage with that and just repeats that I love slavery.
That's crazy, by the way. Like, slavery is not someone's culture, man. What the...
Okay.
Like, what are we talking about?
He compares the annexation of Tibet to the American Civil War.
And the example I used here was actually so fucking good.
Wait, doesn't Hasan own slaves though? I saw that on the on the ground news Twitter post, by the way. That's where I got that from, okay? I didn't just make it up, guys. I saw it on the ground news Twitter post, okay? Unverified on the ground news Twitter post. And they said that, so it's got to be true because I'm an on the ground news journalist, okay?
Not to, hype myself up, but it is directly the same as like the American government during the time of slavery engaging in the fucking Civil War.
The North attacked the South because they were trying to succeed from the Union. It wasn't about slavery until 2 years into the war. Tibet was its own independent country. It's not the same at all. But hey, high school level education here, owning the political pundits, it sounds impressive, but it's not. When I show the death toll from China's imperialism, Bad Empanado waffles about Asman, never getting to the point.
So Asmongold said that Palestinians deserve to be genocided because they have an inferior culture, because genocide is literally baked into their laws. That's
Hasan just gets up and leaves.
Tibet was a country that had slavery.
And with Hasan gone, Bad Empanado avoids all the points I was making and just repeats that I think slavery...
You think that Hasan has like IBS? Like, is that why he gets up and leaves all the time? Insane bitch syndrome? Got him!
...is good.
I do not give a shit about preserving the culture of like a tiny slave-owning elite anywhere in the world. Do you? I would hope not.
Again, no, but I don't think...
Yeah, I love basketball. What do you mean? I love basketball. Okay? That's a criticism on basketball, by the way. Not college basketball, specifically. Because they don't really pay these kids.
That justifies them being systematically destroyed and settled, just like how I don't like Hamas, but that doesn't mean I want all Palestinians to suffer. They laugh and act as if I didn't point out a real hypocritical view that Hasan has, like I made no argument.
Why can you actually respond to him?
Wait, why doesn't he? You know what? Bad Empanado raises a good point. Why doesn't he ever actually counter anything I'm saying? If you, on the other hand, watch this and you were like, yeah, I don't really know about this Hasan guy, I kind of don't understand it, maybe you would be like geared towards hating me, I guess. Not trolling, but I don't get the Tibet stance. If you're against imperialism, you should be against Chinese imperialism. Okay, we'll get back to the Tibet issue in a little bit. Okay, please.
Meanwhile, Hasan's still arguing with his chat about my Tibet point. Your audience seemed to think it was a pretty good point, so much so that he gets right on the edge of agreeing with me.
That's crazy, by the way. Like, slavery is not someone's culture, man. What the
True.
Like, what are we talking about? The Tibet take is unacceptable. You can't ignore the forced Hanification of the Tibetan people, same as Xinjiang. Hundreds of thousands of people were forcibly displaced. Tibetans have a right to self-determination. British also used the caste in India as a justification for the empire. No, you're misunderstanding my position. The continued Hanification is unacceptable. These two things can be true at the same time.
If the occupation and Hanification of Tibet is wrong, then why don't you criticize China the same way as Israel? They never engaged with that point because if he did, he'd have to acknowledge that my America bad criticism of him holds some weight. Instead, just say I'm pro-genocide. That'll do it. I don't understand how you could be pro-Palestine and then support Russia and China. Israel's neighbors with Gaza. Does that make what they're doing okay? No, of course not.
Do you think it's okay? Have you ever made a video denouncing it? It seems like instead of actually denouncing it, you just attack people who are against it. I wonder why that is. I wonder why you are so extremely laser focused on that. It's almost like you support the genocide and you're too f***ing cowardly to say so.
Well, no, it's because Willie Mack is a drama content creator. Me too, by the way. Like, let's be real. And Hasan is a bad anti-Western propagandist that's very popular in the online space. And so Willie Mack's criticism centralized around Hasan because that's like the topic that resonates with his audience. That's why. That is why he taught. That's literally it. It's not a hot take. Nobody is impressed that I said that. Nobody thinks that that's an interesting, like a super intelligent point that like came out of nowhere that nobody's thought of. That's what it boils down to. That's it. It's all it is, dude. I don't know what you're fucking talking about. Trying to make it seem like a whole fucking thing. But it's anything to try to discredit Willie Mack because he doesn't actually have anything against Willie Mack. He has to like make something up, basically.
It's true. Israel was about to stop the war and then they watched my YouTube videos. Hasan's nodding. Hasan repeated a very similar sentiment when Muda called him out. You can't criticize Hasan because he criticizes Israel.
I will never forget these monstrous pieces of for looking at a situation like the one happening, the one unfolding in Gaza, and choosing to never say anything about it, only to then make these drama videos to call out the people who call out the Israeli government. It is disgusting.
What?
Well, yeah, but you don't call out the Israeli government. You basically call out all Jews. So it's like a little bit different. Especially, you know, when there are some Jewish people that take that a little personally, bud.
You're allowed to lie, slander people, and make up your own misinformation just because you criticize Israel? Who's buying this? There are tons of creators who talk about...
Me, when I could say anything I want because I'm just protecting black people. I said that weird. But okay.
Palestine that I don't criticize. You were the...
Basically, Drew Afuelo. I know this is totally off topic. I'm just going to say it, though. Like, did you guys see Drew Afuelo took a break from TikTok because she is such a savior? These are like her words. She's such a savior to marginalized groups that the stress is getting to her. And so she needs a break because she's saving marginalized groups by making fun of annoying men. Isn't that fucking incredible? What a dumb bitch. Honestly, what a stupid, out of touch bitch. I'm not even trying to be an asshole. It's just like, that is insane how you are so full of yourself to think that you are a fucking savior to people. If anything, you are destructive to marginalized groups of people that do not have privilege. If you're constantly going around and being agitating towards certain groups of people, wouldn't that rile those groups of people up to like harm very vulnerable, marginalized people? Now that might be a little bit of a overthought, but then again, we're engaging with her overthought of her thinking that she is literally a hero to marginalized groups. She said that. That's what she said. Just be clear. She said she's a hero to marginalized groups. So, you know, if we're going to play that game, we'll get overthought in both directions.
The only one who was this bad at covering the news. If Hasan was pro-Israel, I guarantee I could make the exact same videos. I criticized Hasan on buddying up with the terrorists rather than asking real questions. They're just like One Piece.
We think the Houthis, Ansar Allah, is doing what Luffy would do. You should tell him that.
One of his viewers would point this out, and Hasan would tell him to shut up.
Maybe explain why you're trying to get this type of humanizing information from. Okay, shut up, chatter. Come on, it's not like that's crazy. What does he have to say? That dumb. Yeah. Why am I humanizing? Why am I humanizing a 19-year-old who's only known genocide his entire life?
No, bro. Why are you greenlighting the Houthis' mission and comparing it to One Piece while ignoring proper questions so you could ask about KFC?
Ask him if he was stopped going on boats if Israel stops the genocide. I mean, yeah, he's gonna say yes, chat. What are you talking about? Those are like dumbass questions. Has he ever had like Western food?
It's so fucking dumb. I love it.
They do have KFC in Yemen.
I wonder if it's like, I feel like it's off.
They're like, why would he ask that?
Ask him if he would stop going on boats if Israel stops the genocide.
They do have KFC over there? Wow, they must really be oppressed because Popeyes is elite, baby. That's a fact. Popeyes is better than KFC, motherfuckers. Thank you for $5 from Z King. Hasan is literally just lefty Trump. Both are Nepo babies with the same supporters who lie and are held to no reasonable standard. They're so similar. Yeah, but at least I think at least Trump likes America. I don't think he loves America. I think he just wanted to win, but at least he likes America. Hasan hates it, so at least the intentions there are a little bit better from Trump. Let's be real.
Genocide? I mean, yeah, he's going to say yes, chat.
They've already said that. That's why the blockade is being carried out.
Yes, the Houthis as an organization said that. Rashid did not because he wasn't asked. It would still be a good formality to get his position on that. Instead, they act like Hasan never...
Isn't that like bad empanada guy like a really bad person? So like, why is nobody just making the assumption that he's trying to say things to get on Hasan's good side so that he can have access to Hasan's platform? If anything, though, that's a great thing. Apparently, Ed Empanada is such a bad person that like wouldn't that only hurt Hasan's platform if people actually like looked into it more?
Never thought he was a Houthi.
If you think a 19-year-old from Yemen is in the cut and is like inside of the inner workings of the Ansar Allah movement, I don't know what to tell you. You're a idiot. You know what I mean? It's like interrogating your 19-year-old cousin about what Trump is going to do next.
I want to go through this one more time because I now...
Maybe I will do that, Hasan. You don't fucking know me, dude.
I have the full story.
What the hell
Before
the fuck
the
is
interview,
this?
Hasan thought Rashid was a Houthi.
Bro, are we about to have a Houthi rebel on stream? Yes, brother. What do you mean?
Yes, brother.
Excuse me. Of course I'm about to have I'm a journalist, okay? This is journalism.
During the interview, Hasan asked if he was a Houthi, but Rashid gave him an indirect answer. In fact, Rashid gave the same indirect answer so many times, Hasan speculated that he was media trained.
I don't know if he is allowed to speak on this. I don't know if he's like actually a part of the groups at all, or just like simply a TikToker. You know what I mean? I don't know how to ask that in the best way possible, though.
Yeah, I feel like we can ask it pretty directly. His answer is he's a Yemeni who stands with Palestine.
Okay, that's interesting. I mean, I don't know. I feel like he's very media trained, surprisingly, but okay.
And after the interview was over, Hasan still thought he interviewed a terrorist, defending himself by saying CNN interviews terrorists all the time.
Even if you don't agree with him, there is genuine value in understanding what his worldview is, where he's coming from, why he's doing the shit that he's doing.
Absolutely, that's 100% true. There is value in that. There is value at looking from a macro perspective, right? Micro perspective is individuals. Macro perspective is drawing out and looking at the conditions that had happened to create certain people, right? So there are certain circumstances of different countries engaging in imperialism to destabilize other countries, and that has a negative impact on other people and their culture because they're more oppressed in some capacity, which means they have less emotional capacity to care about marginalized groups. This is a real thing. But Hasan asked him questions about One Piece and Kentucky Fried Chicken, which is objectively worse than Popeyes, instead of having a conversation that was intelligent in any capacity. And that's the problem. Hasan, that's the Hasan problem. Like, that would have been a great conversation to listen to somebody that maybe is a terrorist and explain the specific circumstances that happened in their life so that we can hopefully try to change those circumstances to not create more terrorism. But instead, we got one-piece propaganda and Tim Houthi Charlemagne. It's like, dude, this is ridiculous. Like, you're a fucking moron. That is the problem.
If you don't want to understand that, you're just intellectually an incurious person, okay? And many people are genuinely intellectually incurious people. CNN literally fucking gets to interview Taliban leaders and even members of Al-Qaeda, which these guys are not like at all, for the record. I am just mentioning that specifically to show you that, like, this is what the job of, like, media is supposed to be.
But you're not really, well, you are media, but you're not a journalist.
LSF talked about how Hasan interviewed a terrorist, and he acknowledged, even my haters gotta think it's awesome.
Look at this. Top of LSF. Hasan is currently live streaming with an actual Houthi terrorist, according to the U.S. government. That's awesome. Keep fucking LARPing. At least, even my haters gotta fucking actually recognize that it's fascinating to be able to do that.
Hasan was getting a lot of heat for the interview. It wasn't until a chatter defended him that Hasan considered that Rashid might not be Houthi.
Yeah, I mean, we don't even know if he's a Houthi or not personally. Like, he didn't say any of that shit. He just said he's a teenager in Yemen.
They have since completely recontextualized the entire interview. Rashid wasn't talking about hostages. He was talking about a TikTok video he saw.
First of all, this dude, Rashid, there's no evidence that he actually linked up with any captain whatsoever, especially considering that he's saying the captain is Chinese.
He didn't fuck the captain, dude? That's lame.
There is no Chinese captain.
Oh, you don't think Chinese people can be captains, huh? What do you think? They can only be senpais? The joke of that is that I think senpai is Japanese, so it makes it additionally racist. As a joke. That is, I'm being very clear, YouTube. It is a joke. All right.
We found out was that there's an older video that he probably saw that he was talking about where I don't even know if it's from Yemen or not, where they're like, you know, a bunch of captains, I think a Bulgarian captain's like chewing cot or something. I think this was the OG video. Yeah, it was this video. Yeah. It's from literally March 27th, 2022.
Before the ship was ever captured. Why would Rashid be talking about this video? It was translated that poorly. Was this guy just riffing? But even if it was interpreted and translated as if he was talking about the hostages, and Hasan was pogging out.
Does he know what has happened to any of the crews? Like, I heard they tried cat, having a good time.
Terry Crews? What?
Are they okay?
He's saying they've all tried pot, including the captain of the ship that he went on. He's saying that the vibes are immaculate.
No fucking way.
He's saying that they win over the crews on these ships, and they like win them over with their charm, and they make them hate America and the US.
Yeah, that's exactly what a terrorist that steals people would always say, that they win them over with their charm. Couldn't be Stockholm Syndrome. That's not a thing. There wasn't a movie about that. There was never a child's movie about Stockholm Syndrome. We don't know what that is. What does that mean?
Government.
The crux of the criticism isn't Rashid being a terrorist. It's Hasan glazing what he thought was a terrorist. Hasan knows it wasn't a good interview. That's why he's retconned it to, oh, if I thought he was a Houthi, I would have conducted myself differently.
How was the Yemeni kid not connected to the Houthis, and doesn't even matter if he was? Not only does it not matter to me if he was or not, it would obviously change the dynamic of the interview if he was.
Bro, you thought he was. I was shown that sometime after the interview, Rashid was in a Twitter space where he said that he was not a Houthi.
No, I am just a Yemeni citizen who stands with Palestine.
Well, there you have it, guys. Of course.
Meanwhile,
definitely, the terrorist is definitely telling the truth.
On social media, he's saying that he was a soldier, talking as if he is a Houthi, saying how only the Jews should fear the Houthi.
Maybe it was like a Crip Blood type of a scenario where people are like, yeah, I'm part of this gang, and then the gangs are like, we're gonna kill you if you don't stop, and they're like, I'm just kidding, I'm not actually part of them, you know, maybe. I don't know.
Executions we will carry out on all Zionists. The ships we bombed and sank. To every Zionist, I will put this in your stomach. But forget all that. Willie must only think he's a terrorist because he's racist.
Like, the reason why this guy is being called a terrorist by this guy is because he's Arab. That's literally, his criteria to be a terrorist is to be Arab. He could not explain to you what terrorist attack he's engaged in. He couldn't even explain to you what terrorism the Houthis have supposedly engaged in.
Bad empanada.
I mean, aren't they terrorists that... Didn't the Houthis don't they take over trade ships? Isn't that terrorism? I don't know. I mean, okay.
Is going to get Rashad from Yemen to sue me.
I believe his name is Rashid Al-Khalidi. We will crowdfund a GoFundMe so you can sue whichever one of these people you choose.
Good. Do it. I'm not kidding. And you know what, Willie Mac? You crowdfund as well. I, a Jewish person, will help you. I don't say that to be anti-Muslim. I say that because I am an excellent lawyer. You'll never win. You'll never win. Blah, 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 blah.
Rashid, my friend from Yemen, you have a chance at
We are good lawyers, though. Okay, that's you know, not that other people are bad lawyers. Okay, we're good though. We're pretty good lawyers.
Huge payout here, and we will gladly crowdfund you. Pick like the most egregious of them, calling you a terrorist, and let's get them in court trying to justify that label.
Okay, but when
come on over to an American court. Let's get you. Get over here. Come to this American court. That'll work real well for you. That's going to go well.
And when I get to keep the knife that Hasan thinks is so cool.
Thought all they did was basically, walk around with like blades in their belts and look cool. I mean, I want to ask him about the knife. The knives are sick.
He says if one of those knives comes out in front of you, it's not going back until it has blood on it.
Oh shit. Okay.
Damn.
Cool though.
The reality is,
what is he going to cut himself? Like, what the hell is that?
these guys don't have a problem with the Houthi indiscriminately firing at ships, many of which don't have to do with Israel. Quote, over the last dozen or so attacks, there has been no Israeli affiliation at all. Hasan and Bad Empanada justify it because they fully support what they're doing.
Missiles at commercial ships that have nothing to do with their state limit, no connection to Israel. Do you know that basically like every single ship, every single country in Europe, the US, Canada, Australia, supports Israel? Out the ass, weapons, trade, everything they could ever want. They get it. Diplomatic support, they get it. So just saying the ship has no connection with Israel specifically is an obvious lie, because by proxy, by that, every fucking ship there has a connection to Israel.
The Houthis said they would only attack Israeli-linked ships. How many degrees of separation need to happen before you stop justifying civilians being targeted? They don't do that, but you guys still blindly defend them. You're like their PR team. When they start attacking other commercial vessels indiscriminately, that becomes terrorism. They can't believe I have this stance. One thing I didn't expect was Hasan to die on the hill that he is Anne Frank, and that Anne Frank should have joined the Houthis. I remember Anne Frank being part of a militia group that boarded
what?
Commercial vessels and took cap.
So if Anne Frank was a part of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, do you think that it would be invalid? If I had the capacity to talk to someone who participated in the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, do you feel like that would be inappropriate?
The Warsaw Ghetto Uprising directly fought the Nazis. This is like saying Anne Frank should have raided Chinese vessels going to Portugal. It makes no sense. Taking Filipino crews hostage, I would not support this.
No, the only difference here is that you think brown man bad, brown man terrorist. No, this guy's
got nothing else but like, you're racist if you disagree with me. We're all pretty burnt out on that talking point there, Hasan. I don't think it resonates with most people anymore.
Is just, he doesn't know anything. He doesn't understand anything. It is shocking.
He makes the world's dumbest comparison and then calls me racist and stupid. It's everything I've criticized them for over the past year. They get to the part where Rashid says he was a soldier, and they're stunned. Bad Empanada brings up how Gila's a soldier.
What does it mean if he's a soldier anyway? Let's say that he was a soldier. By the way, Gila Klein said that she was a soldier. So okay, let's say that he said that he was a soldier. Could you explain how that makes him a terrorist exactly?
One, Gila Klein was part of the IDF. That's irrefutable. What's your point there? And two, the effective governing body in Yemen is the Houthi. So if he's a soldier, yes, that would mean he's a terrorist. They go through all of his anti-Semitic tweets and they rationalize it.
It bears no basis. Again, the leader of the Houthis uttered a slogan during the Second Intifada when he watched a famous video of a Palestinian child dying in front of his father. Like, most people know nothing and don't care about contextualizing anything. Of course, it is anti-Semitic, but contextualizing it matters. Yeah. People, I think it's like Nicholas Fuentes. You know what I mean? Like they think that like they got a copy of the Elders of Zion and ran along with it.
What's funny is right after Hasan said this, Lonerbox would point out that the Houthis do quote the Elders of Zion in their sermon. The Elders of Zion being fabricated documents about Jews taking over the world. Here's Lonerbox explaining.
No, let me just tell you something. I feel like I'm fucking aiming perfectly in this game, and it's just not going where I'm aiming. And it's actually really fucking pissing me off.
Actually, almost exactly in part because they take influence from the protocols of the Elders of Zion. Hasan doesn't know that, obviously, or if he does, he's lying about it. When it comes to the Houthis, I'm pretty sure the Houthis have an exact quote of it from one of the sermons. It's so funny that Hasan just opens himself up, like sets himself up to these things. This is one of the passages on the Jews from one of Al-Houthi sermons. The Jews know the effect of faith when there is faith in the nation, and they know that if it is established, they were aware of turning us into infidels. They did not want us to be Jews. They said in their documents, called the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, that they did not want Muslims or Christians to be Jews.
Why is he trying to bring this up to dunk on me when he clearly doesn't know? It is a classic Hasan moment.
For a Palestinian to arrive at anti-Semitic opinions, they just see a Star of David on the side of the F-15 that bombs the school, and they're like, oh my God, I hate whoever is doing this to me.
Rashid's not Palestinian, but I still want to engage. I totally understand how that would make someone anti-Semitic. Just like how I understand how someone from Ukraine may hate all Russians. But also, I don't think it's worth the effort rationalizing his post about spiking Jews or shooting.
Yeah. True.
All that you can imagine.
Well, again, that's the problem, is Hasan's not trying to have an educated conversation about like what we could do to avoid and change these circumstances that created individuals, you know, like Tim Houthi, Charlemagne, or whatever. He's just interested in justifying everything that they do. Okay, it's fucking, it's like modern, I mean, I don't know, it's like modern day therapy. I mean, like, it's I don't know, it's too much. You're focusing too much on some things. But no, it's not. He's not trying to have an intelligent conversation. He's not trying to explain the bad behavior. He's trying to justify the bad behavior. That's the difference between us. Like, that's what Hasan's trying to do.
Imagine is fighting for like the destruction of the social order, so that people are driven to work for Grubhub and deliver you Big Macs for cheaper than they did before. You literally
That's smart.
Cannot believe that someone would say, yeah, I'm ready to sacrifice myself to fight for a cause bigger than mine, like, you know, against the fucking genocide. To you, this is like self-evidently bad. To a sane human,
Isn't that Hasan when it comes to Ukraine? No.
The opposite.
Since this video, Rashid has tweeted out Israel getting nuked, but it's sane according to Bad Empanada, a righteous cause that's bigger than himself. Finally, I make the argument that most Jews are Zionist, and all Zionists are people who believe Israel should exist as a Jewish state. So when you defend a guy who's saying he's going to spike, shoot, and nuke what 90% of Jews believe, it comes off as anti-Semitic.
True. Thank you for the 7-month small gut from Big Dom Rep. Hi, Papa. What's your max squat? Also love you. I don't know, dude. I just squatted 315 for 4 last week. Maybe I should have recorded it so that I could show it to you guys for like an end of the year thing. Maybe I will do that. Maybe I'll start, because like I'm probably gonna, the next 2 weeks are gonna be rough getting to the gym, because it's like the holidays and everything. So maybe I'll actually record a few of my lifts, have my wife like record them, and then maybe I'll make like a little video about it. That'd be cute.
Hasan responds with Zionism means many different things to many different people, and that it means you support the war in Gaza.
Wait, that is 90% status Jewish Israelis? Yes. And even for them, Zionism means something entirely different for many. There are large majorities of Jewish Israelis who are in agreement with the military campaign in Gaza. I am diametrically opposed to that, and I think that that is wrong. And I also personally don't think that that has anything to do with Judaism whatsoever.
I never said the war had to do with Judaism, but Israel existing, Zionism does for most Jews. Hasan doesn't engage, and he just calls me anti-Semitic.
I think it's ridiculous to claim that all Jews...
Well, I mean, that's the Hasan dog whistle, right? The Hasan dog whistle is to say that, to not make a distinction between extremists and like Zionism. Anytime somebody is Zionist, it's just like, oh, well, okay, here's the thing. He's trying to say that it's like ultra nationalism. He's trying to go after that, but like he's using the term Zionism, which really just encapsulates anybody who thinks Israel has the right to exist. He uses the term Zionism to try to dog whistle that Jews are bad. It's why it is a dog whistle. That is the whole point of it. So some people are like, no, he's just talking about people who are like in support of the war, but he's talking about all Jews. Hasan does not like Jews, and he doesn't like Western people.
Actually love that shit. And it's actually unimaginably anti-Semitic, according to the IHRA definitions too, by the way.
This guy just lies and doesn't engage with my video the whole time, and then he calls my video slop.
It's perfectly packaged drama slop. It takes 1 second to lie about a person, especially when there is an overwhelming amount, amount of social conditioning geared in one way, and it takes an hour to fucking break down exactly why this is wrong.
Bro, that's me. You sit there and lie and bring 0 receipts after spent hours rewatching the content. He truly is a top-tier propagandist.
I'm a weirdo. Yeah, I'm a weirdo. People looking at me crazy. I don't care, though.
I want to talk about something called the Hasan. The Hasan is when somebody doesn't engage with you honestly and they just call you a racist or a Nazi, or my favorite, just blames destiny. A creator named
Just because I'm racist doesn't mean that you're right, Hasan, okay?
Adam something criticized the Gravel Institute for making Russian propaganda. In response, the Gravel Institute deleted their video. Hasan really liked that video. Hasan, before even watching Adam's video, would call him a Nazi.
Adam something posted a 40-minute video about how Gravel lies about Azov, so a bunch of Euro sock dems might come in here being fucking annoying. Dude, I'm sorry to say this, but, Europeans and being secret crypto neo-Nazis goes hand in hand sometimes.
Wow, I wonder if Hasan hates all European people.
Okay, Europe and pro-NATO Europeans being a fan of Nazis or running defense for Nazis is...
Dude, I don't understand what's his, like, why does he hate NATO? I don't understand. NATO exists to spread because it spreads Western culture. It's so fucking crazy how obvious it is that this guy fucking hates anything Western.
It's not exactly news to me, okay? Holy shit.
Adam responded to Hasan, calling him stupid. Hasan then claims Adam can only come to that conclusion if he's racist.
Hasan didn't mean to insult me. He simply reached the narrow limits of his understanding of the world. Dude, I can't do this. The narrow limits. Yeah, dude, just fucking say I'm a Turk roach with a...
You're white. You're white. You're whiter than me. Every time you try to say something in an accent that's not a whiter accent, you sound like my mom trying to speak Spanish to a Hispanic person. Where she's like, "Oh, Maria," like that's what you sound like. You sound like an old woman cosplaying as a non-white person. You are white. That is what you are, Hasan. You are white. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with being white. I love white people, but you're white. Okay.
Cockroach brain and move on. Okay. Yeah, fuck it. I'm saying it, dude. Okay, this motherfucker not exactly out of the alt-right pipeline. Okay, straight up, dude.
Muda criticizes Hasan for pointing out over a terrorist propaganda video, so he implies that Muda is a self-hating Muslim.
Mudahar especially runs with a very weird crowd, and not only does he run with a very weird crowd, he has time and time again tugged on the Hasan heartstrings over and over again with all the other weirdos that he aligns with, and has actively played a role in the. We should get Twitch banned, or we should get Hasan deplatformed train. Extra weird considering that he...
Well, stop running defense for terrorists and people won't do that, Ever think about looking at your faults as your fault? Thank you for $5 from Uncool. Papa, are you a good cook? No, I don't think so. I'm okay. I could do something.
You know, went to the Hajj, did the Hajj, went to the Mecca.
No proof that anybody Muda hangs with hates Muslims, just then plays a dumb Uncle Tom and move on. That's the Hasan. Nicholas Diorio points out Twitch's inconsistency with enforcing their policies.
They're not people who give a fuck about Angie content. Like, didn't this guy literally used to have like a fucking straight up Nazi program?
He just made up all of that. A website comes out called Twitch or Terrorist, showing how Twitch streamers repeat terrorist talking points. Hasan calls it Islamophobic. How? It has to do with the words you say, not your religion. Nobody could answer me. Hasan blocked me, but then Philly Deep.
Well, I guess that it's okay to be a terrorist as long as it's a non-Western terrorist. Maybe that's his take. I don't know.
Put me in his video. So he had to respond. He just repeats that it's 2003 again over and over. No real answer.
These are literally 2003. We're back in 2003.
Same.
These are the most 2003 as
JXE criticizes Hasan for leaving a video playing while he goes to the bathroom. Well, that means
yeah, like that's Hasan still does it. He still does that. You can still go to his stream and like every day he'll just put something on and he'll walk away. So
Jay's a Nazi.
This is what I said 1 year ago. Since then he made a video, or they made a video. Afterwards, they had like a bunch of fucking Nazis in the kill stream get together and do an 8-hour reaction to my entire stream.
Ethan claims that Hasan harbors anti-Semitism in his audience. Well, he must be compromised by destiny.
And this has been ongoing for the past year because that community, Boner Chelly's community, is way more predisposed with making a mockery and presenting a false narrative surrounding one of the loudest voices that is pro-Palestinian emancipation than the actual genocide.
Stop hiding behind the bodies of Palestinians to avoid criticism. It's gross. Hasan gets criticized for glazing a guy that he thought was a terrorist. He goes, well, Destiny did it, so why can't I?
Yeah, dude, I know a lot of you would probably much prefer, all of my naysayers would much prefer me having chicken and waffles with a fucking neo-Nazi who is like infinitely more damaging to American politics and also just the world in general. But guess what, dude? You know, I think this is infinitely more valuable, even if you don't agree with his framework, with his perspective.
We didn't get to learn his perspective because your interview was so bad.
Yes.
Nobody is saying you can't interview a Houthi. They're criticizing how you did it. Destiny asked Nick challenging questions and did not endorse anything he stood for. You compared the Houthi movement to happy cartoon pirates. If Destiny called Nick Fuentes Captain America, I would have a problem with that too. Everyone's a Nazi, everyone's racist, everyone's Destiny.
It's okay.
True.
I also was sent this video, Willie Mack Show, whitewashing genocide, and I'm already doing this, so why not? The video opens up saying I lie about war crimes.
This video will expose how Willie Mack uses his YouTube channel to lie about Gaza, Israeli war crimes, and Zionism.
He defends Hasan misreporting the Al-Ahli hospital bombing.
Despite what Willie Mack might want to claim, Hasan had every right to not trust Western reporting at the time because they had a track record of covering up Israeli war crimes. And just to give an example, immediately after October 7, news broadcasters like the BBC were called out for describing Israeli casualties as killed, while Palestinians murdered by Israel in cold blood were simply described as deaths.
I don't agree with that, but why would that justify Hasan making up his...
Just to be clear, like obviously there is different levels of propaganda in different countries. Western media is held to an objectively higher standard than any of these other media companies. So like they're like, oh yeah, these people were called out, and then a lot of them change their perspectives when they get called out because they're held to task on things, whereas other countries are just not.
His own story. Hasan was literally making up his own missile analysis.
I do not know if there's a deployment, like an activation that Israeli munitions have that can detonate way before it impacts the ground. And if that is the case, then you know it's still on the side of. I still believe that it's most likely an IDF.
Yeah, that was breaking news. You think Hasan would be more charitable to breaking news? No, considering he only does breaking news content.
Airstrike.
Who is this helping? What good is it adding to the conversation? Let's not act like this can't be critiqued.
Hasan had every right to doubt media reports about the Al-Ahli hospital, considering their track record before and even with hindsight today. And for Willie Mack to cry over Hasan coming to his own conclusions is honestly baffling to me.
He then implies that this news outlet isn't trustworthy because they pointed out that the only source of information on this is from Hamas.
I love that they keep saying Hamas-run health ministry, like it's not the fucking health ministry.
But it is run by Hamas. Should they lie?
Well, it seems like Willie Mack didn't even do his own homework because the article that he showed on screen, it later had Human Rights Watch disprove everything that he claims about the Gaza Health Ministry. We have been monitoring human rights abuses in the Gaza Strip for 3 decades, including several rounds of hostilities. We've generally found the data that comes out of the Ministry of Health to be reliable.
At that point in time, there were conflicting reports, so the proper thing to do is to wait for more information. Also, Hasan was the one disagreeing with the Hamas-run health ministry. He said their casualty numbers were too low.
Update from 8 minutes ago. Between 200 and 300 people killed in Gaza hospital airstrike according to Hamas-run health ministry from 1 hour ago. Wait, what? No, the number is like 800 now.
He's doing this.
How are you going to disagree with your own people on that one there, bud?
Hasan, where you're saying Israel did the bombing despite most third-party investigations saying otherwise. What makes you an expert?
That Hasan had every right to be skeptical about whatever Western media or the Israelis claimed, because whether Willie Mack wants to acknowledge it or not, Israel is the aggressor in this entire conflict, not just in Gaza, but in the past 75 years.
If Hasan
That's probably a little too reductionist, but okay.
wants to be skeptical, that's fine. But I'm saying it 100% for a fact happened, and you're a genocidal freak for believing the experts.
You genocidal scumbag!
That is ridiculous and criticizable. There's
Stop
tons
it.
of things to criticize Israel for. Why hinge on this one? He goes after me for saying most Jews are Zionists.
He's suggesting that because 90% of Israeli Jews are Zionists, therefore most Zionists are Jews. But the article only shows that most Israeli Jews support Zionism, not Jews globally. And what's funny is that according to a survey by Israel's Ministry of Diaspora Affairs, it found that not only does a third of American Jewish teens sympathize with Hamas, but 2/3 of Jewish teens in America support the Palestinian cause.
I mean, okay, like that's good, I guess. I just doesn't that show more credibility to like Western media since they're willing to say stuff like that? Shows that they're less inclined to show propaganda. It's just something I'm pointing out. I don't know.
While many of these Jews that were interviewed also support Zionism, as what the article later mentioned.
84% think Israel have the right to exist as a Jewish state. That is Zionism. I was 6% off on my American teenager demographic. My bad. Jewish people sympathizing with Palestinians is not mutually exclusive with them being a Zionist. Both can happen. He ends the video making a good criticism of me for going after Hasan, laughing at Jewish soccer fans who got beat up.
Children, for the children!
What? This one I didn't care about because I think if I remember correctly, they were being disruptive or something. So that I think from what I remember, they deserve to get beat up, but I don't remember the specifics, so maybe I'm wrong.
The fuck? What is happening?
Israeli fans are not innocent. They were chanting threats to Arabs, being racist.
They were hooligans who chanted racist slogans such as "Let the IDF win" and "F the Arabs," and there are no schools in Gaza as there are no children in Gaza.
Papa Gun
Oh, then yeah, they kind of deserve to get beat up now.
also made this criticism.
I mean, if the story is that there's any group of people that are that's me disrupting like some kind of we'll say prayer circle that mourns the death of children, whatever people did that deserve to be made fun of. No.
If they get their ass beat for being racist and hateful, they deserve it. It was
Yes.
a stupid argument for me, and I don't stand by it.
I love you, Willie Mack. Thank you so much, brother. I'm glad that I'm the greatest person in the world.
I will remove that section from the video once this is uploaded.
All right, well, cool, man. I appreciate that. I mean, the whole video was good except for that point. I just personally, not to be that guy, sometimes I think violence can be okay. You know what I mean? And I know that sounds terrible, but if you're going to make fun of and mock people dying, yeah, you deserve to get the shit beaten out of you. You know what I mean? You know, so fuck them.
And while one creator isn't afraid of saying the uncomfortable truth, standing up to people who defend war crimes, the other manipulates hundreds or thousands of people to believe otherwise.
Where do I defend a single war crime? I condemn it. I condemn Israel's crimes. Bro, you need a break from the internet if you think critiquing Hasan is...
Oh, yeah? Well, I condemn them. Because they're so bad, I want to fuck them until they're... I don't know. Let's just drop the stroke.
the same thing as defending Israel.
I don't always think all my jokes through. Most of my jokes are not thought out. I just like come to the conclusion at a certain point. It's like, oh, sometimes they work out. So sometimes I gotta think a little more.
I don't know why I feel like shit. I will not see a therapist.
What the fuck is happening right now?
I want to touch on some things that I found funny. Hasan always cries that people are taking him out of context.
Over the course of an 8-hour broadcast, if you look to literally 3
How
moments,
come
you
nobody
can
else
find,
shut up as much as you, dude? That does 8-hour broadcast.
Because no one has the most psychopathic fandom like idiots like you.
But he does the same thing to everyone else. He doesn't react to my video. He watches Bad Empanado reacting to it. He doesn't react to Ethan. He watches a Twitter clip or a critical video of Ethan.
Well, this way somebody else can criticize other people for him. So he doesn't have to put in the work because he doesn't have any reasonable arguments to be made.
Which, you know, was perhaps a little bit more significant for someone like myself, a political commentator, and not one that is just LARPing as one for a little bit and crashing the out in the process by regurgitating talking points you're getting from fucking Destiny.
He says all that and then continues.
Got him! Instead, we should regurgitate... Oh my god, I can't talk. Instead, we should regurgitate talking points from Hasan, guys, because he's better. He's smarter.
He used to watch a drama video criticizing Ethan instead of just watching...
That was his penis in Destiny's mouth.
Ethan. His audience has pointed this out before.
Not willing to look up the context of the criticism about you? Do you realistically expect your detractors to do that for you? Yeah, no, I know the context of the criticism because I know where it's coming from. I've heard it a million times over, and I've addressed it a million times over. And I think it's bad faith.
It's bad faith, guys, out of context, but everything I watched totally in context and true. I also find it funny that Bad Empanada wants Hasan to copyright strike me.
Hasan should copyright strike this 100%.
Hasan should copyright strike it? What are you fucking talking about? His whole plot, he's like the leader of what should be probably copyright struck. I'm happy it doesn't, because I'm able to do some of it as well. But I mean, like, let's be fucking real. You can't engage in the behavior that Hasan does, and me as well, and decide to copyright strike people for reacting to your videos.
100%. He should just copyright strike this. This would not pass in court for fair use.
He's saying this. Meanwhile, Hasan gets up and walks away while reacting to his video. In conclusion, Hasan's a liar, misinterpreting everybody, including himself, if it means he can dodge accountability. He will pull the race card whenever convenient, and even use other people's race cards if he thinks he can use it against them. He's a coward, not willing to stand by any edgy political opinion he has, always retreating to some text or a tweet to avoid being confronted on it. Or when in doubt, blame destiny. Call the person a Nazi. In short, he's exactly who we thought he was. Shocker. If only someone documented this before. WillieMacShop.com. My politics is common sense. New t-shirt. Go buy one. This gay guy loves it, so you will too.
Okay.
I will send you one for free. You need it. Subscribe to the channel. And shout out to the homies over on Patreon. Crimson Glass, Riveter, Christina Bean, Mac Monkey, Drain Kobex, Necro Valley, Stefan Billman, The Confusing Opinion, Eddie Bizzle, Tiz McFits, Christopher H, TV Anthology Reviews, Ankle Moore, Sentinel Music, Lucasif, ET Automatic, Snoopy Poop Doop 2, Amir ML Bay, Deep Pocket Jew, Rooney Boo, Drew is Sharon, Cloud Factory, Monkey D. Luffy, August, and the mega homies, Reynolds Hughes, Hellison, IGP.
Is that our August?
Your Taxi, Latchkey, Gothboy, Cyber Katie, Lore Reloaded, Papa Gut, Caden Luland.
That's me! That was a good video. Happy we watched it.